Hey, what's up guys, Flick here. Welcome to the first episode of our FIFA 18 Wolves career mode, and out of the three options presented to you, this is the club that won the majority vote, and I'm really happy with that decision, and I'm excited to get this career mode going. Wolves is a club that has a ton of history, but also a bright future ahead of them, and I have some fun plans for this career mode. But before we jump into the preseason tournament invites, I have a big ask for you guys, and that's for you to show your support on this video by leaving a like down below and also interacting with this series by leaving a comment. I'll be posing several questions in each episode and throughout this series, so that's a great way for you guys to get involved. But without further ado, let's check out and see what preseason tournaments we have to choose from. Generally, I go with the one that has the highest potential prize money, and for me, this one is going to be a no-brainer. We're going to go with the European International Cup, offering us as much as 4.66 million. And yeah, if we go ahead and win this, then we'll go ahead and increase our transfer budget. Of course, we will have some more difficult opposition, but I think that's a great test for us to really try out our side and see what positions we do need to improve upon. If we have a look at our group, we have some formidable opposition in here with AZ, Spal, and FC Rostov. But what I'll be doing for this preseason tournament is simulating all the way up to the final. If we do happen to make the final, then I will play that last fixture and hopefully optimize the amount of potential prize money we can receive. But I also do want to take a look at our office, particularly the inbox, and see if we can collect any useful bits of information in here. Generally, this is just standard stuff letting us know that the transfer window is open, also letting us know about the board's vision and expectations. But to be completely honest, I prefer to look at that information in the board expectations tab. So we'll do that right now and see what the board wants us to achieve this year. For youth development, we need to sign one player with a potential over 75 to our youth squad. We also need to increase that player's overall by at least 10 points. I think that's something we can easily do, especially if it is a goalkeeper, because goalkeeper training is a lot easier than the other positions. Brand exposure, we need to keep a streak of at least 85% attendance in 5 consecutive home matches. So as long as we're winning our matches, I think we can meet that objective as well. Financially, there's absolutely nothing for us to achieve, which is great because this is my least favorite category and one that I don't like paying attention to. Domestically, we need to win the league title and also reach the round of 32 of the FA Cup. I think the FA Cup will be difficult to reach the round of 32, but you know, it's something that if we can grow into our side and really start to learn more about our players, we can compete with some of the best teams, both in the Championship and the Premier League. So we'll try our very best to reach the later stages of the FA Cup. Of course, continentally, there's no objectives for us to do. I mentioned how important it will be for us to get to know this Wolves side if we want to achieve any sort of success this season. So I thought it would be nice to show you the lineup that the game loads us up with by default, and then make a few changes to fit my personal playstyle. What I'm looking to do is find a nice compromise between what Wolves use in real life and what I like to use in FIFA, so we can kind of get the best of both worlds. But by default, the game gives us a 5 at the back formation, a 5-2-3 with Ruddy between the sticks, Douglas at the left wing back position, a center back trio of Bully, Cody, and Bennett, Doherty at the right wing back position, center midfield duo of Saiz and Neves, left winger Jota, Leo Bonatini our striker, and finally Cavallero our right winger. So I'll make a few changes right now and show you what I do end up with. After making a few changes, this is what our starting 11 will look like, and I'm definitely open to making more changes at a later date depending on how these players play in game and also after hearing your input on this lineup. But the only major change to our defense is that I brought in Bath as our right center back, and the reason for that change is that he's Wolves captain for the 2017-2018 season, so I feel like he deserves a starting role in this career mode. But one thing I will say is that we have so many center backs to choose from, so I plan on rotating them throughout this season. I'll quickly show you all of those center backs. So we have Bully and Bath as our starters, Cody as our substitute, and then 3 more in our reserves with Miranda, Bennett, and House. And I mean, if our low center back is only 67 rated, we can train him up and we can really utilize all of them, make sure that they all get enough playing time and remain happy. Our midfield has been left unchanged. I'm really happy with this Neves-Saiz duo. Saiz will be staying back while attacking, whereas Neves will push up a little bit more and really utilize his passing ability. Now, as for our attack, I've decided to go with Costa as our left winger, and the reason for that is that he's left-footed. I like having left-footed players playing on the left side and right-footed players playing on the right side, so that'll explain Cavallero playing on the right. And Jota will be playing centrally because he has the best passing stats out of the four, and I really want a player that links up all the play. He'll be roaming around that midfield and attacking third, so we want to make sure that we have our best passer in the center. And of course, Leo Bonatini will be our striker. And the thing is, we don't have a lot of strikers in this Wolves team, whereas we have plenty of center backs. We only really have 2 natural strikers throughout our starting 11, substitutes, and reserves. Of course, Bonatini will be one of them, and then we have Wilson here featuring on the substitutes. He's only 57 rated though, so I feel like we need to sign another decent striker to play in a squad rotational role, or maybe a crucial first team player role, and then drop one of our other players in the front four. I'll also quickly go over my roles, instructions, and tactics. Of course, Bath will be our captain for the 2017-2018 season. Neves will be taking our left short free kicks, Douglas taking the right short free kicks, Neves taking the long free kicks. Penalties will be going to Leo Bonatini, Jota taking the left corners, and Douglas taking the right corners. Now, for the instructions, the only ones that I've changed is that I've set the instructions for Bonatini to get in behind and also press the back line. These front 3 attacking midfielders, basically I have them all on free roam. I don't really care where they're going to play in the attacking third, so allowing them to free roam will give us more opportunities and have a little bit more creativity in our attack. I mentioned earlier Saiz will be staying back while attacking. There's the instructions for him to do so. Now for the tactics, I keep it pretty simple and just leave it at the high pressure tactic. I feel like that's very effective in career mode. Of course, I can switch things to a custom tactic if I feel like I need to adjust things, but for right now, I think high pressure will do just fine. Due to our lack of depth at the striker position, I've shortlisted a few versatile attackers that can play anywhere from striker to left midfield, center attacking midfield, or right midfield, and I've also used the Portuguese league as a starting point for us. The reason for that is due to Wolves' heavy Portuguese influence in real life and the ties they have with Jorge Mendes. I don't plan on only signing players from Portugal and the Portuguese league in this career mode, but I feel like this will be great for a first transfer and a starting point. So quickly going through the shortlist, we have Daniel Podence, probably my favorite out of the bunch. He can play center forward, right mid, or striker. He's only 21 years old, so he has a bright future ahead. Rafa is a slightly older alternative, but you're sacrificing age for a slightly higher overall. He can also play left mid, right mid, or striker. Gelson Dalla is the youngest out of the bunch, but he also has a bright future. Can play center forward, right mid, or left mid. And I found it cool that he's from Angola. I don't see too many players from that nationality, and it might be an interesting look to sign him into this career mode. And our final option will be Peter Etebo, can play left mid, striker, or left wing. So I've assigned my scouts to these players, and we will look to see what their overall rating is and what their market value is. Once I do have a full report back, I'll start approaching them for transfers. Since we have so many young, promising players in this Wolves team, it'll be difficult for us to choose which of those players will receive training time. But for this first training session, I've given slots to Neves, Ronan, Cavallero, Costa, and Enabakare. Of course, I will be rotating what players receive training to keep things fairly balanced. Only a few days into the career mode, and we already have our first transfer offers for Gero and Enabakare. And I have no interest in selling these players because they're both attackers, an area that we don't have a lot of squad depth, and the players that are in those positions are mostly loanees, so I don't want to be selling permanent players in this squad, at least for the time being. Prior to our first preseason tournament match, I was approached by House asking if he could get a start in this first fixture, and I decided to grant that wish. I'm a big proponent of listening to my players and allowing them playtime, boosting squad morale wherever possible, and hopefully he can put in a good shift, maybe even score a goal. But 0-0 going into the halftime break, and now forward to the second half. We'll see if we can break down Spalla or whether this one will end at 0-0. House picking up a yellow card. Only 10 minutes left in this one, but it's scoreless in our first match. Hopefully, we can score some more goals in future fixtures. I just deleted the email, but the topic of that email is something that I believe is relevant to you guys and will make for a great first poll question. And it has to do with international management. Specifically, do you think, if given the opportunity, I should accept an international management role with a national team? I'll leave a poll in the top right of your screen right now, and go ahead and get involved in that, and I'll announce the poll results in the next episode. Also, if you do think I should take an international job offer, what countries would you want to see? Let me know in the comment section down below. I've decided to skip the minute-by-minute commentary for this second preseason tournament match. We drew against FC Rostov, which will put us in an alright position going into our final group stage match. Another poll question for you. Do you want me to do the minute-by-minute commentary like I did in the first preseason tournament match, or would you rather just see the result like I did in this second match? I originally recorded this section of the video live, but because transfer negotiations can drag on for quite a while, I felt like it would be better to speed up the gameplay and just talk over it while it plays in the background. Unfortunately, we wouldn't have been able to pursue negotiations with Rafa and Gelsandala because they recently joined their club, which made Daniel Podence our primary transfer target. So we're getting into negotiations with their manager, and his market value is set at 10 million. I went in with a 7.5 million offer to start off with, and they were not having it, increasing the offer all the way up to 12.9 and a 5% release clause. I wasn't interested in including a release clause, so now it was just a matter of negotiating and finding a middle ground that we could both agree upon. Here you can see we're going with 12, and they seem pretty set on about 13.6 to 13.9 million. Finally, we reached mutual terms on a 13 million offer, and we're able to now get into the contract negotiations. One perk of going after these players from the Portuguese league is that their wages are not too high. You can see his current wage is only set at 14.5 million. So regardless of what we'll have to pay, it won't be too much more relative to our other players. But the one downside of Podence is that he does want a crucial first team player role. I was hoping to pick him up on an important first team player role because I feel like I would have liked to have him as a squad rotational player to start off with because I'm not familiar with how he plays, but you know, if he's a crucial first team player, we'll have to find a place to fit him into the side, and we did just that. That was just a matter of agreeing on the wages and the signing bonus. He wanted to get a goal bonus of scoring 10 goals, which if he's going to be a starting player for us, he'll easily meet. So we finally met mutual terms. It was 20,000 per week on the wages and also a $250,000 signing bonus. We already had a good idea of Podence's overall statistics, but let's take a closer look at his individual stats and see why he is an exceptional player. He does have a 4-star skill move, 4-star weak foot set with 89 pace and 84 dribbling. One area that I would like to improve upon is his shooting and passing. I feel like his shooting's not quite good enough to play him at the striker position, so maybe we can play him as more of a center attack mid or even a right midfielder, really utilize his pace and dribbling, and then probably look to grow his passing in the player training. But we'll look through the rest of his individual stats. You can see he's very gifted in the physical and mental department. Technicals, he has good dribbling, the rest not so great. So obviously some areas for us to improve upon. He does have the flair and technical dribbler traits. Since we had to offer Podence a crucial first team player role, we'll have to fit him somewhere into the starting 11. And for me, the position that makes the most sense, at least for right now, is the right mid position. That way he can use his pace down the wings, send in a few crosses. He's just not good enough for me to play in the center or at the striker position with his poor passing and shooting. So Cavallero will be moved to the reserves, and then right away we'll put Cavallero back to the substitutes. And out of the substitutes that we have to choose from, I think it's going to be Eno Bakari that has to sit. I still want to give him play time because he has a bright future ahead, but for right now, Cavallero is the more suited player for a substitute. Another cool feature in FIFA 18 are these in-game video clips, and there you can see Podence has signed for Wolves for 13 million, and our new number 9. We'll see if he can make an impact against AZ, who are currently leading our group with 4 points. A win should put us into the semifinal of the European International Cup, and I feel like Podence might be the difference maker for us. So this time around, I will do the minute-by-minute simulation, and Jota gets the first goal of the match in the 9th minute, off to a great start. And goal scoring has been something we struggled with in this preseason, so it's nice that we were able to get on the board fairly early on. Van Overmeem did miss a penalty, so we catch a break. And maybe, just maybe, we can get a win against AZ. Costa gets a second goal. Surely that will secure us the 3 points in this one, and hopefully a place in the semi-final of the European International Cup. Our win against AZ has secured us a place in the semi-final of the European International Cup, and we've been matched up against Hellas Verona, and we've also been granted a few extra funds for our transfer budget, specifically 1 million added to our transfer budget, so you can never complain about that. But we also have a transfer offer for our 5th choice center defensive mid, Jack Price. He's been with the club for a while, but I feel like now would be a good time to sell him off, and Bolton has approached us with a 1.1 million offer. His value is only 975,000, so that's a decent offer, to be completely honest, but I'll look to get a little bit more, and I'm just going to delegate this to my assistant manager. I'm going to start the negotiations at, let's say, 1.5 million, and don't sell the player for anything less than their initial offer of 1.1 million. If Bolton are willing to give us that, hey, it's an extra million or so added to our transfer budget, and we can maybe look to sign a younger, higher potential center defensive mid with those funds. I've been checking on the youth staff section regularly, and finally it's updated with a 5-star scout for us to sign. We do have the budget to make that deal happen, and I want the youth academy system to be a big part of this career mode. We have a few seasons ahead with Wolves, and I really want to develop some young players and grow a few heroes in this team. So we will be signing up this scout from Norway. Like I mentioned earlier, I won't only be signing players from Portugal, but for this first scouting network, I will be scouting out Portugal. As for any future scouting networks, I will be relying on your input. So let me know down in the comment section below what countries you want me to scout, and also please specify what type of player you think we should be looking for. As for the first type of player, I feel like physically strong is a pretty safe option and gives you a good variety of players, so that will be our first scouting network. I feel like we finally managed to achieve some good form and we've been able to score some goals, but as I say that, it's Hellas Verona who scored the first goal of the match in the 3rd minute, courtesy of Pazzini. They do pick up an injury though, and Jota scores in the 30th minute. If I recall correctly, he scored in the last match as well. So Jota already showing that he's going to be an important player for this Wolves team. And it's unfortunate that we can't sign him right away. We'll need to wait for his loan to end and then look to pick him up at a later date if we choose to go that route. But as I was talking about that, our new signing, Daniel Podence, has scored in the 76th minute. He secured us a place in the final, and now we'll get to play in game. Now that we have brought in Podence, I feel like it's smart that we give him some player training, so we'll be dropping Eno Bakare and then adding Podence to this 5th spot. And I mentioned earlier that I want to work on both his passing as well as his shooting. I'll be starting with the passing just because he'll play a variety of roles and you really can't go wrong working on a player's short passing. So we'll start with that. Later on, I'll be working on his shooting and finishing. We've been granted even more funds following our win in the semi-final, roughly 1.4 million added to our transfer budget, and we have a loan offer for one of our backup goalkeepers, which is actually what I was looking to do initially because we just have too many goalkeepers in this club. I'd like to have at most 3 just in case one of them get injured, and you always want to have at least one backup goalkeeper. So we'll be accepting this offer straight away. About to head into our first in-game match. I feel like now is a great time to talk to the press, and the real question is which one of these categories we should focus on. I don't know too much about our opposition, so I'll pretty much cross off these middle 2 categories. I could look to praise Podence and the impact that he made by scoring a goal in his debut match, but instead, I think I'm just going to praise the Wolves side. We've been winning matches, and we're going to look to win the final of this preseason tournament. For those of you interested in what in-game settings I'm using, I'm playing on legendary difficulty, and right now we have it set to 5-minute halves. I might adjust that later on depending on how many highlights I do end up getting for these matches. I definitely want enough highlights for these videos to be entertaining, but I don't want them stretching on too long by having too long for the halves. So I think 5 minutes is perfect. That's what a lot of people do use, at least for YouTube series. But this will be our lineup going into the match. This 4-2-3-1 is something I'm familiar with, and obviously it's worked out pretty well for us now that we have started to win a few matches. We do have plenty of substitutes available and unlimited substitutes available, which may come in handy because a lot of our players are actually on lower fitness because these preseason tournaments games were kind of bunched together. But without further ado, let's get into our first real match of the Wolves career mode and hopefully look to pick up our first piece of silverware. The first match of the season is always a nervy moment because you're not quite sure how your team is going to perform in game. Not to mention we're playing a club that we may never play again in this career mode. They're aside from France, they're in Ligue 1, so they're going to be decent opposition. They did just barely reach the final by winning the semifinal in penalties, but I'm not taking anything for granted. We're going to look to start off strong and get some goals early. Here's Costa asking for Douglas to make the overlap run. He was not keen on making it, despite my attempts to get him there. But here's Podence, already on the ball and looking to make an impact. Berber spinning inside, trying to find Bonatini, and Leo Bonatini gets the first goal of the match. It only took 7 minutes for us to strike. And of course, it's our main striker, Leo Bonatini, who gets our first real goal of the season, at least the one that matters most to me. That's a great through ball, and it's going to be one that tests Ruddy pretty much the first time he's had to touch the ball through the first 30 minutes or so. But here we go on our attack. We're being careful with our play. We're up 1-0. We don't need to force anything. Podence able to find Bonatini. He's also making a run, and he does get played through, but he's unable to out-muscle those defenders. And that's another downfall with him. He does not have a lot of strength, but that's his play style. He's going to rely on his pace, not his strength, to win games. Good play. Bonatini spawning up the run. This is Costa. Will he get there? Yes, he is. Looking for Bonatini once more inside. Actually, this is Podence. Back to Costa. Off the crossbar, off the post. He was offside, though. Man, we are creating chance after chance, but we need to be more clinical. We'll take a few moments to recap our first half stats, and overall, you can't ask for much more. Our defense shut down Angers, not letting up a shot or a shot on target, whereas we had 3 shots, only one of which on target, but we're holding on to 63% of the possession. So we're controlling this match. I'd like to get a few more chances, maybe get into the double digits in for the shots. Maybe make it 2 or 3-0. I'll also use the halftime break to make a change. Bully will be coming off, and Cody will be getting his first action of the season, and we'll see if we can hold on to our clean sheet. To be honest, this is probably the farthest that Angers have made it into our third, and now their fullback getting involved. Running down the pylon, and Cody coming on as a substitute and making a crucial clearance out of the box. Another cross sent in. We need to win this, and Doherty does well. They're still with it. The momentum is now all the way on Angers' side, and their first shot is not one on target. I think our goalkeeper is pretty lucky there. Another through ball. This is Podence. No options around him. Neves back to Saiz. Over to Silva. We can play this game all day. If they're not going to close us down, we'll work the ball around until we have the right pass. Here's Doherty trying to send it to the far post. No options around him once again. Neves, someone needs to show for him in the middle. Instead, we'll work it back around. Here's Podence, and finally it's taken away. But only 20 minutes or so left in this match. You have to think that Angers are making some attacking-minded substitutes to try to get this goal. We'll make a few changes of our own. I'm really happy with how Podence has played in this match, but we will bring on Cavalo for the remainder of this fixture. And we'll also let our backup right mid play on the left because he is left-footed. Well, that's a poor passing decision. And again, with the lofted through balls, they don't seem to be working. This one falls to one of their players, and Ruddy needs to make his first real save of the fixture. It was a decent shot, to be fair, and it takes a good goalkeeper to be aware, especially when he hasn't had too much action in the match. Corner kick for Angers. They send it in. That one again at Ruddy, but we'll look to get on the counterattack here. We have a player off to the left, and we're able to hold on to possession, a little bit of pace, and now we're going to look at options in the center. Silva over to Bonatini. Cavallero, he's brought on as a sub. He's got the pace. He does not have the strength to beat the defenders. Good job by Jota to find Bonatini. Here's Cavallero. Good fake shot to fool the defender and create some space for himself. Trying to send it across to the far post. We have a runner, and if we're able to connect, that could have been a goal. What a chance for the substitute to seal this fixture, but instead, we'll have to hang on for the last 3 minutes, plus injury or stoppage time. Only a few of their center backs left to defend. Bonatini playing it out wide. It's intercepted, and this will likely be the last attack. And we just need to hold him for a little bit longer. Bath holding off the defender, and that will be the full-time whistle. It wasn't the best of results for us. I mean, we messed up a few chances, but it is preseason after all. You'll expect that from the team. At the end of the day, we get the win, we get the 1-0 result, and we'll be getting our first piece of silverware for the season. As Bath lifts up the trophy, I want to get my first impressions of this Wolves side after having played a match in game. And I have to say, we have an exciting bunch of players to work with, especially our attack. We have so many skillful players in our front four, and Leo Bonatini, he's shown that he can finish chances in front of goals. So I think it's going to be an exceptional side that we have, and we're really going to challenge for that league title this year. We'll have a look at the final match stats, and we did improve on some of the areas that I mentioned at halftime. We were able to get the shots up to 7, and we were able to keep that possession above 60, which is always going to mean that we were the dominant team. In terms of player ratings and who receives man of the match, I would say it would go to Leo Bonatini because he did score the goal, but actually it goes to Ruben Neves, who put in a great shift at the center defensive mid position, picking up a 9.0 rating. So Neves already showing why he wants to be the standout player in this Wolves team. Having completed our preseason tournament, we have about a 2.5 week break until we have our league opener at Molineux Stadium against Middlesbrough. But to close out the episode today, I want to open up another poll question. And this has to do with what we want to do with the remainder of the transfer window. We have approximately $8 million in our transfer budget to work with. And the way I see it, we have 3 options available. We can choose to do nothing and save that money for a later time, maybe the January transfer window, and look to spend that money then. We could look to sign up some more youth scouts to our youth academy and increase the probability that we can find higher potential players, or we could look to sign up another player. Now, one position that I do have in mind is the goalkeeper position, because we're starting to receive transfer offers for our backup goalkeeper. I'm hesitant to sell our backup goalkeeper until we were to bring in a younger, higher potential goalkeeper. So that may be a position that we'll need to sign, because Ruddy's up there in age. He's not really going to improve upon where he's at right now. So maybe the right choice would be to sign up a young, high potential goalkeeper, do some player training on him as Ruddy remains our starter for this season. Maybe for season 2, we could then look to transition our backup goalkeeper into the starter. Let me know what you guys think, and go ahead and get involved in that by participating in the poll. But that will be it for today's episode of the Wolves Career Mode. I hope you did enjoy this first episode. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. But until next time, this has been Flick. I'll be talking to you guys again soon.